The old man set up his sniper rifle and took aim at the three scoundrels across from him. But instead of aiming for their heads, he pointed it at the young man's private area and pulled the trigger. The bullet hit its mark perfectly. Blood splattered everywhere. The man screamed like a dying pig. After finishing his task, the old man hid his rifle, put on his coat, and picked up the empty shell casing from the floor. Then, whistling softly, he walked down the stairs with calm steps. When no one was around, he took the casing out of his pocket and threw it in the trash. As usual, he went to join his friend and continued watching their game of chess. Before long, another man began to fear that his turn was next. He immediately packed his things and decided to leave the city. But the old man was already waiting for him. Once again, he chose not to kill him directly. This time, he aimed at the car's fuel tank and pulled the trigger. The car burst into flames with a massive explosion. The man jumped out of the vehicle just in time and survived, but his body was badly burned. As the fire department arrived at the scene, the old man left his belongings behind and blended into the crowd. Once he was sure the man had learned his lesson, he turned and walked away. The recent attacks had also driven the police chief into a panic. This was because his own son was among those who had attacked the old man's granddaughter. The chief immediately rushed home and told his son not to go outside. Then he and his team raided the old man's house. Everything pointed to the old man, but there was no concrete evidence. Therefore, the chief could only warn him, "Do not hurt my son." But before he could finish his sentence, the old man interrupted, "Perhaps the tragedy has already happened." At these words, the chief panicked. He thought the old man might have accomplices and rushed back to his house. No matter how hard he knocked on the door, there was no answer from inside. He drew his weapon, prepared to break down the door. At that exact moment, a gunshot rang out. The bullet struck him. When the other police officers arrived at the scene, it was revealed that the person who fired the gun was the chief's son, who had been driven mad by fear. The attacks of the past few days had completely destroyed his mental health. Hearing the knock on the door, he thought the old man had come for revenge and ended up shooting the father who had spoiled him. On the other hand, the old man still couldn't stop thinking about his granddaughter. He feared that her young heart would be hurt again, until one night, he heard her singing a familiar song while intoxicated. In that moment, something inside him was resolved. He decided to leave his pain behind and chose to surrender.